Imagine a world where communities are stripped of their ancestral lands. Imagine their livelihoods, their cultures, and their very identities threatened. This is a reality for many indigenous peoples around the world, including in Zimbabwe. In the face of these threats, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, or UNDROP, stands as a beacon of hope. Adopted in 2007, UNDROP is a landmark international instrument that recognizes the inherent rights of indigenous peoples. It affirms their right to self-determination, to their lands, territories, and resources, and to their cultural identity. In Zimbabwe, where land rights are deeply intertwined with history, culture, and survival, UNDROP has the potential to be a transformative force. For generations, Zimbabwe's villagers have relied on their land for sustenance, for their cultural practices, and for their connection to their ancestors. Their relationship with the land is not merely economic, but deeply spiritual and social. UNDROP recognizes and protects this profound connection. At the heart of UNDROP is the recognition of indigenous peoples as distinct and diverse groups with unique cultures, languages, and traditions. It acknowledges their historical and ongoing connection to their lands and territories. This recognition is crucial in Zimbabwe, a country with a rich diversity of indigenous communities. UNDROP emphasizes the right of indigenous peoples to self-determination. This means they have the right to freely determine their political status and to pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. In Zimbabwe, this translates to the right of villagers to participate in decisions that affect their lands and their livelihoods. UNDROP also safeguards the right of indigenous peoples to free, prior, and informed consent. This means that any decisions affecting their lands and resources must be made with their full participation and consent. This is essential to prevent land grabs and to ensure that development projects benefit indigenous communities. Zimbabwe's villagers face a growing threat: land grabs. Powerful individuals and corporations, often with government backing, are seizing land for mining, large-scale agriculture, and other commercial ventures. These land grabs displace communities, destroy livelihoods, and disrupt cultural traditions. Land grabs are not just an economic issue, but a human rights crisis. They violate the fundamental rights of indigenous peoples to their lands, territories, and resources. They undermine their food security, their cultural integrity, and their very existence as distinct peoples. UNDROP provides a powerful tool to resist land grabs. It affirms the right of indigenous peoples to own, use, develop, and control their lands and resources. It also requires states to take measures to prevent and redress land grabs. UNDROP in action, protecting ancestral lands. Despite the challenges, there are indeed inspiring examples of how UNDROP is being used to protect the rights of indigenous communities in Zimbabwe. Communities are mobilizing, raising awareness, and using the declaration to assert their rights and to challenge land grabs. In one case, a community in eastern Zimbabwe successfully used UNDROP to stop a mining company from encroaching on their ancestral lands. They documented their historical connection to the land, their cultural practices, and the potential impacts of the mine. They presented their case to the government and to international organizations, using UNDROP as a legal and moral basis for their claim. In another case, a community in southern Zimbabwe used UNDROP to challenge the government's plan to build a dam that would flood their ancestral lands. They organized protests, engaged with the media, and used UNDROP to argue that the project violated their right to free, prior, and informed consent.